Welcome to the Honest Brew podcast, unfiltered conversations on business growth. I'm Cheale Villa from Visual Caffeine, and joining me are my cohort, Monique Johnson from Mojo Design and Sara Bradley from Indigo Elephant. Between the three of us, we have got over 60 years of combined experience building and scaling our own businesses, as well as assisting our clients in doing the same. We're here to talk about what actually happens between the highlight reel. Here's the thing. Most business advice treats branding, marketing, and operations like they're separate planets orbiting in different galaxies, but they're not. They're one living, breathing ecosystem. Your brand culture needs to show up in every system you build. Your operations needs to deliver on your brand promise, and your marketing needs the infrastructure to back up what it sells. When all three work together, that is the perfect blend. When they don't, that's usually what we're here to fix. So if you are somewhere between chaos and growth, making decent revenue, but feeling overwhelmed, you're ready to move from doing everything to actually leading. Pull up a chair, get cozy. This conversation is for you. Let's brew up some truth.
Welcome to the Honest Brew. Thank you so much for being here. My cohorts here.
Monique Johnson of Mojo Design.
And Sara Bradley of Indigo Elephant.
And I am Cheale Villa of Visual Caffeine. What is on the minds of every solopreneur and small business right now entering into this fall season, or we're literally in the midst of the beginning of it. And that is the lustrous fourth quarter. So I know that when I first started business, I was so young, I didn't even think of quarters. So if you are one of those people, you're like, fourth quarter, what the heck is that? This is also an opportunity for you to learn a little more about the things that you should be thinking of. So I'm going to kick this off and say, ladies, what is the first thing on your mind with this quarter being here?
Chaos.
It's, yeah, I was about to say, I'm like, it's a mix. I'm like, it's chaotic and also like, you're wanting to slow down now.
Yep. 100%. I think it's a big balance of work and life, right? Because Q4, I just want to snuggle under a blanket but you can't. You got to keep going. Fourth quarter for me is actually the most busy time of year. You know, a lot of people are inspired to get all this stuff done by the end of the year. So there's that. But you're trying to balance with family happenings like during this quarter. You know, we have Halloween, then we have Thanksgiving and Christmas, or, you know, what other holidays, Hanukkah. And so it's just like a lot of making sure that you leave enough time for family and work. That's to me is like the biggest part of this quarter.
No, I love that because I feel like the fourth quarter I think it brings more pressure compared to other quarters because we have like the countdown, the year's going to be changing soon. And then literally all the holidays happen in Q4. Like we have a couple in Q1, but the majority of them are not. Yeah, Q1, we have some in Q2, but the bulk of them happen now. And I feel like that also creates pressure where for me, my background is more on the operations side and they're having to work later than they want to, or they're not as present. And then that can cause turmoil with other family members who don't get it. So I feel like there's just so much pressure happening for people when it's more about how can you, I feel like as business owners, you always have to always be preparing for the future version of you or the future version of you of like what kind of support they need. So that's something I've been kind of noodling on.
I love that you bring the topic of pressure, because I think that is there's this pressure of the approaching end of the year and what are the expectations for us on the marketing, branding side, as well as the operation side of even concluding that year. Because I know even like the thing I hate the most, my books. That's something to be like wrapped up too. So, but there is this pressure that comes with the reason we're in business for ourselves is we want the flexibility and the freedom that comes with owning our own business. And part of the freedom I always want to embrace is that time with my family, time. I'm a very strong Christian and Catholic, and that's a huge part of the year. There's this,
Yeah.
we all as Americans have our Thanksgiving time. And then those of us that celebrate the holidays after that, there's a lot going on in that time. But with that, there's also the pressure that comes in is making sure that your business is still showing up for your clients. It's still showing up in the services. And if you have staff, you want to make sure that they are able to have some of that same freedom that you're enjoying. So it's a real balancing act, I would say. And to Monique's point, I know that I have a honestly, I don't really like, we're busy all the time of year. I'd say the only slowdown we really have is in summer. And I think Monique, you experience the same thing. It's just,
Yep.
but people are under that pressure, which is, I think, why branding and marketing demands are really high at this last quarter. Because people are like, oh my gosh, I have only really a month and a half. That's how I know a lot of our clients are thinking. That we need to get this stuff done before we all like check out.
Yep.
So
Yes.
yeah.
I
Oh
think
my God, yes. Oh,
for me, I always want to make sure that in Q4, because it's the busiest for my business, that I am setting realistic goals. So, you can say, I think you can say, oh, I'm going to get 5 new websites done by the end of the year. That's completely unrealistic. So it's setting expectations like in my own mind, and then also being realistic with my clients. These are the things that, we can prepare you, get to you to a point for the next year. Because a lot of times, if someone has in their mind, oh, I want to, launch my new brand by the end of the year. Well, but it's not a realistic time frame. We could do like something like, oh, let's do a campaign that builds up to launching your brand in January. And so finding solutions that are ramping up but also realistic seems to be like a good strategy.
100%. Because if you think too, Q4 is really big consumerism.
Oh yeah.
Like Black Friday, the holidays, people buying gifts, people traveling. And that's a lot of what my clients kind of struggle with the back end is it's not like, oh, this launch broke. It's more of like, no, we're just seeing all of the breaks in your operations now because you're having such an influx of people with this launch or you're doing something new. So for Black Friday, I start asking clients about it in August because
Yeah.
I'm like, she's going to sneak up on us real quick. And you're going to want to be with your family if you celebrate Thanksgiving or whatever you do during that weekend. And so I always say, like, the back end of things is like those things can be done ahead of time. And then you can pour more into your marketing and more into your sales, especially if you're the type where I work with a lot of people who have ADHD and neurodivergence, and excitement's a big thing. So it's like, why don't we create space for you to feel more excited? Because then you'll create content from that place. And that's what makes you magnetic.
100%. I love that.
Yeah, that's so true. On that note, I think it's also, at least with my company, we end up being the people who are reminding our clients earlier of stuff that's coming up. So when we've had those retail clients in the past, we're like, hey, you need to start rethinking about this stuff. And they're just going into their summer going, I want to think about summer. I don't want to think about these things. But if we wait for the last minute moment of, oh, wait, we want to take advantage of Black Friday, or, oh, wait, we want to, even in non-retail, getting a Christmas card designed and put out.
Yep.
Weirdly, I got to start thinking about that in July, like, because
Yep.
then it's all ready and ready to go. No.
Well, that makes complete sense because people who do modeling, they'll do campaigns for summer in the middle of winter. So they have that stuff prepared rather than trying to shoot it during the season. And I do like that added layer of like, depending on your business, I work with a lot of service providers, so coaches, consultants, and they sometimes offer digital products. Whereas if you are a physical product store, the planning is going to be very different. Your demands are going to be very different, especially like going back to Black Friday. I 100% agree with Shell. It's like you want to start thinking about that in summer, especially if you have inventory and like want to do a special sale. What is your marketing like? Like, is it organic or paid? Like, there's so many layers. And the thing I feel like it's not to overwhelm you, it's more of like with all of these layers, the way you can really serve the success of your business is to almost be like a chess player. Don't think of just 2 months, 2 steps ahead. Think of like 10 steps ahead and then work backwards because then your future self will thank you for it.
That is so good. Love that.
Well, so for some of my like smaller business owners, I always tell people, give yourself some grace, right? Like it depends on obviously what you're doing, but most of us are not brain surgeons, right? So
Yeah.
it's like, it's okay if this product launch moves a few days out, or, and I just
Mhm.
feel like it's okay to, I mean, it's a good thing to set dates and goals, but if XYZ is happening either in your personal life or in other parts of your business, and you just can't make it happen, just I always remind people, like, what is the worst that can happen if this social media post doesn't go live right now? It's like, so
Literally.
just also, I guess like giving yourself a reality check once in a while, and being self-disciplined, but also giving yourself some grace a little bit if it doesn't happen on the date that you wanted it to.
Mhm.
Love that. And I want to add on to that, that I feel that there is this mindset of I have to keep up with my competition. And my feeling is, and this is where, just the culture of your business, the brand of your business, the way, and I believe, just so I'm established in this, I have always believed brand needs to show up everywhere, which hence why I loved the dynamic of our grouping here, which is being in branding, marketing, and operations, and having this conversation together, making decisions off the seat of your pants a lot of times. But if
Mhm.
you're intentional about what your brand is, and that brand flows through your entire operations, your entire business, how you deal with people in customer service and all those areas, that grace is easier to come in because you're not putting that additional pressure on your head going, well, my competition is doing this, this, and this.
Yep.
Doesn't mean you need to. You don't know who they're
Mhm.
listening to. You don't know, you're not trying to be their brand. You're trying to be your own brand.
Yep.
I have clients where part of their brand is grace. Like part of their brand is just like be in flow, relax. And but if you're opposing that with freaking out because your imaginary competition, which to me, I don't really believe in competition, but your imaginary competition out there is doing X, Y, and Z, and you need to keep up and do that. That's not showing that's not showing up authentically and aligned to your brand. But
Yep.
two, that intentionality just went out the window and you're probably creating from a vacuum.
Yep.
Mhm. No,
I,
I love
I,
that.
that is so great because I feel like it's um, reiterates the strength and foundation of having a brand story and your values that are infused into your brand, right? So Yeah, I just love that so much because it makes so much sense. Once you know who you are as a brand, you can infuse that in all of your areas. And then you're a little bit more relaxed because you know your message, and it's like, so that's, I think, where the grace maybe comes in a little bit, where you're like, okay, I know what I'm doing here. I'm going to stay on my course and not be reactive to something else that is going on in the world, or in their, competitor.
100%. I'd even take it a step further of like being grounded in who you are as a person.
Yeah,
Because I feel like your messaging, company values, things like that stem from what are your morals?
a
Like
hundred
what is
percent.
your ethos? And I also know for me, like a big company value for me is integrity, which is like
Oh,
infused in my onboarding process where it's like I will do proposals. So it's very clear on like, what am I doing? What are you doing? Like everything's on the table. There's no guessing, there's no shadiness because unfortunately, with the internet being so available and more people wanting to become entrepreneurs, there's a lot of people who are like, I'm an OBM, I am this, but don't have experience. Or a lot of business coaches are like saying they're coaches but they maybe not have experienced it. So it's like it's using discernment and it makes it easier for people to find you when you are in your own values, when you know yourself as a person, because literally Shell and I could be doing the same thing, but we're going to be magnetic to two different people because my experiences are different. My stories are different. How I
yep,
show up is different. That's what draws people to you is you.
yep.
And so that's why for me, competition is more about collaboration and even inspiration. It's like, "Oh, girl, what are you doing? Like, maybe I want to try that. How does that feel to me?" Like, for me, especially with operations, it feels a lot of people feel operation is heavy, it's icky, it's a big load, it's a lot. Whereas for me, I'm like, my goal is when you log in Monday morning, it feels the same as stepping into a warm bath. And the way you get there is by having systems you trust, teams you trust, and technology you trust. It comes down to structure. So for me, that's what I want to do. Whereas I have a million and one tech bros who do the same thing. And they're like, you got to get that money. I'll get you that money. Whereas I care more about how you show up in all areas business, a wife, whatever it is.
Say that's a pretty aligned to how I think both Mo and I approach brand, as well as, and for my company marketing, because like I'll have people who they listen to the social media gurus out there and everybody who says that they know everything and whatever and follow their formula. It's not about a formula. It's about consistency. And I always ask my clients like,
Mm,
how often should I post? How often should I do this? And it's like, what can you, especially when you're doing it on your own, if you're not hiring us to do it, it's like, I'm like, what can you do consistently?
Yep,
If you
yep.
can't do it
amen.
consistently, I don't care if you in your mind want to post every week. If you can't do it consistently, it's not doing you any good. Figure out what you can do consistently, then move from there and plan from there. Not what some imaginary person who decided that they're an expert online,
Mm,
that they, and you're the slave to an algorithm.
Yep.
At the end of the day, just like when you get a customer, you're going to get the customer who wants to work with you, and is aligned with you. We all have tons of people who do what we do. We are not some special beings that are the only ones. And if you have someone who talks to you like that, go and run the opposite direction
Yes.
because they are serving themselves and not serving you. I really believe in meeting my clients where they're at. I think I can speak for all three of us that we are all like that. And the people who maybe would want to listen to this podcast also have the same value of meeting their clients where they're at and serving them from that place versus giving them some unrealistic rules that just somebody decided one day to make up.
mm. It creates so much unnecessary pressure. And that's where like you do need discernment. Because I was that person of like, girl, you got to be posting every day. If you're not, you're failing, you're not growing. And it's like, I don't want to be a social media manager in my
Yep.
business. I want to pour into my people. I want to have an amazing life. I have other things happening in my life. So I need to make it work for me. And something that I learned that really helped me is that business is meant to ebb and flow. You're going to have different seasons. You're going to have seasons where you can really pour into your business, really pour into your people. But then you may have other seasons where you need to take care of a family member. You need to take care of yourself. You're getting married, you're having a kid. Like priorities are meant to shift, and that's okay. And that's the beauty of being an entrepreneur, is having that flexibility in your schedule, in your time. And it's also like, I want people to feel empowered. I don't want people to feel like they need me, they need something I offer in order to be successful.
Yes, and to that point, I always love the saying of like, you run your business should not run you. So one
Yes.
of the best things to determine when you're in your business, step away from it from a moment. Ask
Mhm.
yourself exactly that. What are your priorities in life? My priorities is God first. If anything interferes with that, we've got to change it. Then
Mhm.
my family, my husband first, then my daughter. And then my company. And I will tell you, I've lived a big part of my 27 years of being in business, making my company first. And it takes a lot of hard lessons and rude awakenings to say, you know what? No, my priorities, my life priorities are this, and this is how it will run. And you know what's the best part of determining that? It makes it a heck of a lot easier to make hard decisions. Just because at the end of the day, your life running the way you ideally want was the whole reason you started business in the first place. And if
Mhm.
anybody is here that's listening, is like, no, I'm all about the money, I think you're listening to the wrong podcast. And I'm sure we can find something
Yes.
for you that will work out for you.
And I think
Yes.
you bring up a really good point. Something that I live by is getting space and time away from your business helps you to get a better perspective on it and then make decisions about it. And so if you're like constantly grinding,
Mhm.
you're you're in it too much. You're not giving yourself the grace and you're not giving yourself the time and space you need to take a step back and evaluate like what is working for you and what's not. If you're constantly like I need to post on social media every day like five different channels and you're just grinding away at that, it's not, like, is that even helping you in any way? Is that really even performing for you? I mean, is it realistic? I just think that making sure, like ensuring that you do go for a hike with your girlfriends or, you go have some tea with them or whatever you want to do definitely helps to just get a perspective on your work and what are things that maybe are working better for you and not better for you.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And I love what you brought on measurements, is what I heard in that. And that's a key thing
Yes.
in all parts of business, not just marketing. Nothing
Mhm.
is just one and done forever. We need to measure
Mhm.
those things, all things in our business, to make sure that they're really working. And it's not just, is it producing money, but is it strengthening your brand image out there? Is
Yeah.
it having more, creating more balance for you? And if you have staff, is it creating a just a beautiful flow for your company and your customers? And with that said, I feel that we are at a time for our last sips.
With the vibes of Q4, I feel like at the end of the day, it's about giving yourself grace, nature slowing down. We're going into fall and winter. Allow yourself to slow down and know that when we slow down, when we take a step away, that actually creates space for opportunity to come to us, for our blessings to come to us. Because if we're always blocking it, grinding, we can't be given something that's maybe 10 times better than what we expect. And beyond that, more strategic focus is, depending on your business, if you're e-commerce, retail, brick and mortar, where you're selling a physical product, start thinking about Q4 in honestly Q1, Q2. Get ahead so that you have the proper staffing, you have the proper inventory. Maybe you can even test things to get the glitches out of the way. And I would say if you're more like me or one of us, where we do an online business, have an online service, maybe digital products, you can get away with looking at that stuff in Q3. It's just about, depending on who you are, your staffing, your team, whatever it is give yourself space to process what you need in order to feel supported. And that's the same thing with looking at your KPIs once Q4 is over, is yes, see what made you money. See what did well. But also, did anything suck the life out of you?
Yeah.
Were you miserable? What made you so excited? Because those are going to be so much more important and drive so much more success than you think.
And with that said, thank you for joining us today. We look forward to talking with you more next time.
Remember to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to be notified if you're listening from YouTube.